Hello everyone. Today we have a case of a missing 12-year-old girl out of Florida that I've been wanting to talk about because she has been missing for a year, yet hardly anyone has talked about her. And why that is, I don't know, because her case honestly reminds me quite a bit of the Sebastian Rogers case. It's a very strange disappearance where she disappeared in the middle of the night, and yet again, no one is really talking about her case, and she still has not been found, and there seems to be no evidence, at least that the public knows about. 12-year-old Lori Paige was a 7th grader living in Tallahassee, Florida, and attending Griffin Middle School. She was described as being extremely kind, smart, focused, and studious to the point that her teacher said she would run between classes to make sure she wasn't late. She also was said not to socialize often with the kids there. She was always very nice to them, but she was always more focused on school than talking with friends and socializing, to the point where she would get upset if she had a low test score. But of course, kids aren't perfect. No one is. And she did get into a little bit of trouble at school, it seemed. But it more so seemed to be because of the friends she was associating herself with when she was hanging out with the other kids at school. And she was described as a follower when it came to things like that. Her father would end up telling a story where the bus driver had actually caught one of her friends setting the grass on fire, and Lori was there when that happened. So they both got in trouble for it. Her father had to go into school and, talk about the situation. So to me, it truly feels like, from everything that we do know about Lori, she seems like a people pleaser, which can be a bad thing when it comes to kids missing, because who are they trusting? Are they going to go off with someone or be extra nice to someone because they don't want to get in trouble or because they don't want to upset the other person? As lovely as a trait as it is for a kid to be very sweet and kind to other people, sometimes it can be a bad thing. This is Lori's mother, Miranda. From what I learned, she had Lori when she was around 18 years old, and she's now around 30 years old. And according to her, Lori wanted to move in with her father, so they made a trip to move her all the way to Tallahassee, Florida, and her mother Miranda went back to Nashville where she was going to medical school. Now, from everything Miranda said, she doesn't want to speak to the media, but she ended up going on Facebook Live to tell her side of the story. And this live is actually very long, so I'm only going to include certain snippets in here, but if you want to watch the full video, I'll have it linked down below. I couldn't find it anywhere online anymore, so I think she deleted her Facebook or privated it or something. But I did find someone reacting to the video, so I'll have that down below if you want to watch it.
The situation, because it made it on certain occasions, it made it sound like I just left, like I just abandoned her at her dad's house. First of all, Lori explicitly has stated over and over and over that she wants to live with her dad ever since she started kind of hitting puberty. And this is a very normal psychological phenomenon that we see consistently in children. And let me speak on that. I speak in numbers and facts and statistics and things like that because I'm a scientist. I have a master's degree in science. I do science all day long. My title is student doctor. I run a very, very no nonsense household. Just as you see me now, the same way that I sit and I speak on this camera is the same way that I speak. So I'm the same person all the time. I'm the same person all the time. And some people like me and some people don't. And I personally don't care. I don't care. You liking me doesn't get me closer to my goal. It doesn't pay no bill. I don't care. And this is where I'm different than a lot of people. Y'all care about shit that don't matter. If we're going to speak on events that precipitated the missing of Lori, we can speak on that. So she had explicitly stated that she had been wanting to live with her dad. I have had Lori since the day she was born. I had Lori very, very early. And I've been in school Lori's entire life. So that is what she sees. That is the behavior that she emulates. I am hard on myself. I'm a perfectionist. I try to teach her to give herself grace because that's something that I had to learn at my big age. But as I work on reframing my mindset, I give her the jewels that I come across, but I cannot give you what I don't have. This wasn't my favorite thing. Of course I want her with me. Of course I want her with me because if she's with me, then I know where she's at. I worked in childcare for 15 years. I don't have no problem keeping her. Not to mention, I should be able to leave my child with her father. He has legal rights and responsibilities. I am the custodial parent. What that means is that we have 50-50 custody, but she was perfect. Yes. I feel like I have missed out on a lot of her life. I want to get her. If she wants to be with him and he is willing to keep her, and she has presented to me logical reasons as to why this is what she wants to do, I'm going to hear her out. My child is 12 years old and she's very, very smart. She's been taught autonomy and being able to make decisions and understanding that things have consequences and all these different things like that. She's not perfect at it because she's 12. If this is a decision and this is something that she wants to do, I said, okay.
When it came to home life in August of 2022, Lori's mother, Lori Paige, gave up custody to her father, Andrew Wiley, who worked as a correctional officer in the area. So Lori had ended up moving to Tallahassee, Florida to live with her father, and she was there for roughly 10 months before her disappearance. The two lived on the 1200 block of Continental Court in a middle-class neighborhood near Mission San Luis in a quadruplex apartment, and even though her relationship with her father was quite a new one, it seemed to be going well. From all accounts, he seemed to be newer to being a father. I don't know how much he was in her life before her moving in with him, but despite Andrew being a new father, he seemed to be navigating it quite well. Lori always seemed to be clean, she always seemed to be fed, she was always at school every day. And at home, her father described her as a quiet kid who would often just watch TV or YouTube. Andrew did mention, though, that there did seem to be some issues, especially from Lori's past. Sometimes Andrew said that Lori would cry and ask him why her mother didn't love her, and those were kind of questions he didn't really know how to answer, it seemed. But since Andrew worked night shift, Lori would be left home alone all night by herself. However, she knew if she needed anything, there was a neighbor she could go to and ask for anything she needed. Now, I couldn't figure out if this incident happened on the day that Lori went missing or if it happened the day before Lori went missing. Her mother, Miranda, would unexpectedly show up at their door, and an altercation would actually take place, which led Andrew to call the police and having Miranda removed from the property. Of course, this was extremely upsetting to Lori. From what I've seen, she wasn't used to having situations like that happen. And on top of all of the past traumas and, emotional things she was going through, it was extremely upsetting for her. So that was just something that she had just very recently gone through. Miranda, however, has a different version of events of what happened and the reasoning for it. Because a few weeks before her disappearance, Lori had ran away, but then came back right away and was found. But it seems like there was a missing persons flyer or something for her, and Miranda caught wind of this. But then when she tried to message Lori's father and get any information on what happened, he was completely not responding to her. So then Miranda wasn't getting any responses and freaked out, drove to Tallahassee to see what was up and to get a welfare check, and then this whole situation ensued.
I'm not getting no answers from her dad. I'm not getting no answers from TPD. It's like pulling teeth to get answers. So now my maternal instinct has kicked in because I need to lay my eyes on my child. That's the only thing that's going to bring me peace, is to lay my eyes on my child. I just need to lay my eyes on her, because if I look at her, I can tell you, I'll know if she's okay, I can read Lori. And when she tries to sneak and do something, she'd be like, how did you know I was good? I'm your mother. My thoughts, not your thoughts. So I go to drive 500 miles, and I know the interaction that me and her father have been having. So I went to TPD and I said, hey, look, I'm the mother of this is my child. This baby on this poster that y'all found, this is my child. I'm just trying to I'm just trying to do a welfare check. I just want to lay my eyes on her. Can you please accompany me? Can you come with me? So that because I don't want any problems. We can have a mediator, we can have a third party, we can have a judge, we can have whoever you want. But I need to lay my eyes on my child. I'm not going to take her. I'm not going to take her back with me. She don't want to go with me. Why would I? She told me. Lori told me. Lori said, Mom, I don't want to go with you. Like I said, Lori, I'm not here to pick you up. TPD came out. They reported back to me saying that she was okay. That's not the same as me laying my eyes on her. And I had no intention of taking her. What do I look like moving? First of all, I'm the custodial parent. She's only down here because I signed off on it. She's only enrolled in school because I provided the records. I don't want to take her. If she wants to be with her dad, whenever the cops were there, they left. They left before I had contact. They left. And I said, wait, why are you leaving? Why are you leaving? So, she explains, I can't make him open the door or anything like that, but you are welcome to, go try. Soon as I knock on the door, calmly, soon as he opens the door, it's, bitch, why the fuck you sending cops to my house? Whoa. Because I called you. I called you a lot of times. You blocked me. So I'm not here to argue with you. I just want to check on Lori. I was calling you to check on Lori. I was FaceTiming you to check on Lori. I was asking questions to check on Lori. You're not answering my questions, so I can't check on Lori. So how am I supposed to know that Lori's okay But because TPD said so, I'm not going to sit here, and I don't want to argue with him in front of her. So I'm keeping it. I would just like to speak to Lori. Exactly like that. I just would like to speak to Lori. Lori comes, me and Lori have the conversation. Her dad is present. We had the conversation. She expressed that she had some very big feelings. She expressed her frustrations with me. She aired out her grievances. One of her big complaints was that I didn't call her. I don't call her. And so now I'm blue. I'm like, are you telling her? Are you telling her that I'm not calling her? Because I can't get to her no other way. So yes, I did peacefully go and check on my child. I looked for TPD to help with that, and they didn't. They left. And so because he was upset with me, he called the cops on me for showing up at his house. I knocked on the door. I did not kick his door in. I was not confrontational with him. We don't have to talk. Like I said, I was assaulted. I don't have a lot to say to you. So, but she feels like I don't care about her and that I abandoned her because you won't answer the phone because you're mad at me. That's goofy. That's goofy.
But I do know, however, that on the night of June 3rd, 2023, which would be the last night that Lori was ever seen again by her father, they spent the night watching TV before he had to leave for work. Now, again, this case has very limited information, and the information I did find is kind of like, it was hard to comprehend, but Andrew ended up doing an interview with Smiley World, and I got some information of his timeline from that. And I'm pretty sure I heard him say he left for work around midnight and he'd get home around, I think, 8:30 a.m. Correct me if I'm wrong with that. But from what I heard him say, he left around midnight that night. That's the last time he's seen Lori, and she was asleep in bed. However, when he returned from work in the morning, Lori was nowhere to be found. At first, it seemed like it was kind of assumed she might have went to a friend's house without telling anyone. But from what it seemed like, Andrew didn't really know any of Lori's friends. She didn't have a ton of friends, and it seemed like the friends she did have weren't the greatest influences at school. I've also seen a story floating around that Lori may have went to play in an abandoned apartment building. But when she did go do that, she did come home. From what Andrew has also said, when he ended up calling the police, reporting his daughter missing, they ended up interrogating him. A forensics team went through his home. He said they did like luminol and all of that kind of stuff in there to see if there was any blood or any evidence of foul play. And they also went around trying to find any cameras that they could get a hold of. But if police ended up finding any evidence from any of that, they haven't said. And especially in this day and age, you'd think that there would have been one camera capturing this little girl leaving or being taken somewhere, unless, I guess, someone abducted her right from her apartment with a car right outside, threw her in there or convinced her to come in there and then drove off, which you'd think then they'd be able to see a vehicle leaving the area, and it was in the middle of the night assumingly, so there shouldn't be that many cars going in and out. But it truly doesn't seem like police have anything. And that is why this case is so strange to me, and it reminds me quite a lot of the Sebastian Rogers case. The only difference being in Sebastian's case, his mother claimed to be home that night when he just walked out the house and vanished. Whereas in this case, Lori was home alone. Her father was at work from all accounts. In February of 2024, a grid search was conducted in San Luis Mission Park, and a week later, a dive search team came and went through Lake Esther. The search included 90 first responders who surveyed 64 acres of the area inch by inch, yet nothing was found. A paraprofessional named Margaret Summers, who worked at Lori's school, ended up doing quite a few interviews, and she's been a big advocate for Lori. And she's also one of the people who also have said, including Lori's father, that she did run away one time, but that she came back. And from my understanding, I think she went to a friend's house or something without telling them, but I could be wrong. And then, they found her at a friend's house, or she came back for the friend's house and said that's where she was. But it didn't seem to be an instance where she was like trying to run away because of an issue at home, unless there was some kind of secret issue at home that no one knows about.
I'm hoping that if nothing else, that Lori will come to the school. She knows she's safe there. She knows that people care about her there. And we're in summer school, so she can come there any day, Monday through Thursday.
But if Lori was looking to run away for some reason, that does open the possibility of so many other things happening to her if she did leave in the middle of the night and walk somewhere or wander somewhere, which you'd think there'd be some kind of camera footage of that. But anyways, there are just so many other possibilities of something bad happening to her then, because there could have been someone waiting somewhere or lurking somewhere looking for a victim of opportunity and taken her. But at first it truly did seem like they were thinking she may have ran away or wandered off somewhere, even though it was in the middle of the night. Margaret ended up going on the news and pleading for Lori to come home, saying, and I quote, "Lori, you're a great kid, you're a great student, and there's nothing that you haven't done well enough. Just come back," end quote. But Lori's mother, along with other teachers, have put their foot down and said that Lori would not have ran away. Her mother even said she was scared of the dark. And again, there seems to be no outward or known reasons that Lori would have wanted to run away from her father's home. It seemed like her relationship with her mother was very rocky. There seemed to be nowhere else for her to truly go, and her father's home seemed to be her safe space. She seemed to be thriving there from most accounts. She was doing amazing in school. She seemed to have a lot of mentors at school that talked to her and related with her, and she seemed to be doing very well considering all of her circumstances. Now, I said everything seemed great between Lori and her father. However, we do know Lori seemed to have went off on one occasion and was found again, and then we also have this story.
He sent me a picture of her. This is on a different occasion, and her face is just swole. Now, nothing has happened to her that I've ever seen that her face does this. So I'm like, oh my God, like what happened to, like, I'm mad, right? I'm mad because immediately somebody done punched my child in the face, right? Like, I'm hot. I said, Lori, what happened? She said, well, I did something I wasn't supposed to do on my computer, got caught, and basically she got scared and she went to run out the door. When she went to run out the door, she tripped. And when she tripped, she hit her face on the door frame. This makes sense to me. This sounds like Lori, right? This sounds like Lori. She also had congruent scrapes on her knees and elbows. So this is not, you know what I mean? At the same time, mind you, at the same time. So she runs away. She comes back. I'm not getting my questions answered. Okay. She's okay. That's what I tell myself. I tell myself she's okay. She's okay. And if she's okay, I'm okay. Because I'm sure he doesn't agree with my parenting. But again, what I do in my house is my business. So what I got to apply that same. Lori does not like to get in trouble. Lori is a very, very good kid, and she does not like to get in trouble. She doesn't like to be yelled at. She doesn't like to feel bad like she did something. Like she doesn't, like, Lori has this preoccupation of thinking or like that she feels like she's a bad kid, and she's not a bad kid, and everybody that knows Lori knows she's not a bad kid. So if she does something bad, she hasn't gotten to the point where she can understand that I can separate the behavior from the character, right? So she did a bad behavior and she got caught, and that's a normal response for her. Right. If you have fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, she's flight. That's what she's gonna do. Like if she don't want the confrontation, she's gonna run away and hide and make herself small. I think that's exactly what happened. She knew that she had did something wrong and she knew she was caught. And so, because that's a pattern. Lori's done that before.
When Lori didn't come home right away, police eventually started looking into the theory of an online predator. However, Lori seemed to have no digital footprint. She didn't have any social media. She also had a cell phone, but from what her father said, she got her cell phone taken away from her, which would then mean that she had no phone to ping. There was no way to track her. She did, however, during the school year have a Chromebook laptop. However, she had to return that back to the school at the end of the year, so she didn't have it when she disappeared. Police would say that there was a computer at home, though, that I'm assuming she would use to watch YouTube and stuff like that, because her father said she would watch YouTube. However, it's unclear if that computer has ever been searched. The FBI would end up coming out and saying that Lori's family had ties to Thomasville, Georgia, and Nashville, Tennessee, and outwardly came out to say that they believed she may be moving between those two cities. But what does that mean? Does that mean they have an idea who took her? And if they think that she's in those two specific cities due to some kind of family ties, does that mean they believe someone close to her took her and not a stranger? Yet police aren't openly saying that, but I think sometimes we have to read between the lines what police end up releasing to the public. And that is something that truly got me thinking. What are they saying there without saying it? Now, the thing with Lori's disappearance is it would have been so easy for a predator to notice that this little girl was being left home alone overnight and that there was no one there to protect her. And if they finally found an opportunity when they wanted to abduct her, that could have been the night that they did it. Just look at how many predators are in the area of where Lori lived. Just within the immediate little tiny neighborhood where Lori lived there were 3 PDF files. You heard me right, 3. One which has a previous charge of possessing CP, a second who used their computer to lure a child so that they could essay them, and then we have a third who has multiple different charges of essaying children. And I'm hoping police have checked out their alibis. And if even just one of them heard through the grapevine from a neighbor, or maybe they go for walks in the area and they noticed that this little girl was there alone all the time. Maybe they decided that was the night took advantage of the opportunity knowing her father wasn't home. Yet neighbors haven't come out and said they heard anything. Police haven't said neighbors heard anything that night. So it's strange, it truly is, but it was the middle of the night. There's also a lot of theories that Lori's mother may be involved in the disappearance. But then again, it leads me back to police saying that they believe she's in these two cities with family ties. So do police believe that maybe the mother has something to do with it? I don't know. It's just a theory though.
Because I don't have any information. I don't have anything to tell you. I don't know what happened. Nobody chooses to be in this much emotional turmoil. People don't choose this. I don't have Lori. You think I would have just wasted $100,000 to get a child that I have legal custody over? If I had her, she wouldn't be missing.
But in my opinion, after watching the full thing, Miranda kind of gives me a cold vibes in certain ways, but at the same time, she seems more focused in her schooling than she does in finding her daughter, which makes me feel like she probably didn't take her then. But in my opinion, 12-year-olds just don't run away. I've said it again and again with missing children's cases. Kids don't have the means to run away. They don't have the money to run away like an adult could. She didn't even have her phone at the time as far as we know. But we also know that children don't just vanish. But I truly do think that she was abducted by someone who knew she was at home alone that night. Whether that be a family member that has taken her somewhere or whether that be a predator that noticed. And seeing how vulnerable she was, they took the opportunity.
I have never worked a case where a child has been missing this long without some sort of lead or communication from the child.
TPD Detective Annalie Drake says over the past 7 months, they've looked into every lead but haven't gotten closer to finding Paige. Drake says there was one report of Paige running away 1 month prior to her disappearance last June.
Whether she left voluntarily or not, we have a lot of concern for her, and we don't have anything pushing to what happened after the night she went missing.
What I do find very strange, though, is that neither of Lori's parents have been in the news actively trying to spread the word on her case or actively out searching for her. I haven't seen one news report where they're saying the mother or the father are boots on the ground trying to search, like in the Sebastian Rogers case, or as we see in so many missing children's cases where the parents are begging and crying on the news for their kid to come home. We don't see that here. Instead, we see school officials doing that and being advocates for this little girl, and pastors being advocates for this little girl. Now, I completely understand if the parents don't want to put themselves out there for speculation or to say the wrong thing, and people online go crazy over a little thing, because we do see that happen quite often. But again, the fact that they're not even on the news, just trying to speak to her directly, if she is out there somewhere telling her, like, if you're out there, please come home, please call someone. That's kind of the norm of what the parents of missing children do. And if they were on the news, I think it may help spread her case more as well. But we don't see that here. Even in the Sebastian Rogers case, with how much speculation there is on the parents in that case, we still have seen them at least do some interviews and still ask for Sebastian to come home. But we don't see that in this case, and I find that odd. And I'm not saying any specific people are involved or that we should be digging in any of these people or blasting them online or anything, but I just find it odd. But what do you all think? What I do think is that Lori deserves for her case to be out there, and she deserves for more people to be talking about this and spreading the word on this. So if you're able to share this video, if you're able to share her missing persons flyer, please do so, because not enough people are talking about this little girl. She is 12 years old. She would be turning 13. There's currently a $15,000 reward that the FBI has put out for solving this case and finding Lori. A member of the FBI saying, and I quote, "The FBI will stop at nothing to protect kids, and we are fully committed to helping our partners at Tallahassee Police Department exhaust every investigative resource in the search for Lori Paige. We encourage everyone to keep an eye out for this young lady and help us bring her home." End quote. Billboards have been put up around the city, and a pastor has also been dedicated to putting signs around the city, hoping to spread the word on Lori's disappearance, but still, Lori is missing. Please take one more good look at Lori. She is 12 years old. She's described as a black female, standing 5 feet tall, around 120 pounds, with black dreadlocks and brown eyes. If you think you've spotted her anywhere, or if you think you have any information on what may have happened to her, please contact the authorities below. I'll have their contact information in the description. But again, for the millionth time, this is one that needs to be pushed out there. Not enough people are talking about it. And I truly, truly hope we get some answers and that Lori is found safe. But as always, I hope you all stay safe out there, lock your windows and doors, and I hope to see you in the next video.